Good evening and welcome to Paranormal Path Peeps. And tonight we have special guest Rachel Hayward. How are you doing? Hello?
Hello. Sorry, it went all very quiet then. Hello, good evening.
Hello, good evening and welcome. And we have Karen.
Of course
Karen
we do.
Skeen.
Hi, Karine.
So it may have actually gone out on Facebook. I've no idea. Yeah, we have gone on Facebook. I can see it.
Excellent.
So, as ever, I just want to thank you for being a guest. It's just so lovely to be able to speak to you.
I'm
Um,
very happy to be here. Thank you for having me.
That's lovely. So we last spoke at the Parameet, which was like wonderful, wasn't it?
Oh, it was an excellent time. Yeah, thoroughly enjoyed it.
Yeah, and I'm actually going back to the next one, which is in up north. So looking
Mm.
forward to that. And once again, some amazing guest speakers. So that's on Saturday. So I always start asking where it'll start for you when you first realise that there's paranormal or there's something different from your normal day to day.
That would be when I was very young. And I grew up by the River Thames. My dad was a lockkeeper, and my brother had recently died. And we had moved all the rooms around. So I'd gone from the box room into the next largest room, which was his. And after being in there about a year, I started seeing a young boy who would come into the room. He would stand in the corner of the room. He was actually standing within my dressing table, if that makes sense. And he would
Right.
tell me to do things. And it just wasn't very pleasant. And things escalated from there, really.
Oh my gosh. So did you tell your family?
I did. And that famous line that you hear so many times comes back, there's no such thing as ghosts.
Right, okay.
I was taken to the doctors. The doctors wanted to pass me on to a child psychology unit. But
Wow.
thankfully, my parents didn't allow that.
Oh gosh.
And so, yeah, and it was quite weird because my lifestyle was very different anyway. Um, I grew up on an island, so we didn't have neighbours. When I was very young, or sort of up to about the age of 8 or 9, I couldn't get friends over because their parents would think that their kids would fall in the river and drown.
Oh my
So
gosh.
I just became very, I suppose, insular about it and stopped talking about it because my parents didn't believe me, and I had nobody else really to speak to about it.
Wow. So how did you deal with that emotionally then?
Um, Badly.
Yeah.
It was. I mean, this that started when I was about 6 years old, and it
Oh my
carried on
God.
until I left the property aged 21, 22, something like that. Um,
Wow.
so there were lots and lots of incidences of things that occurred, from items being thrown, um, the usual, really, the lights
Yeah.
coming on, doors opening, which they shouldn't have been, the sound of footsteps. I then witnessed a few apparitions.
My gosh.
When I was 13, something threw me down the stairs.
Oh my gosh. Right.
I had an arm appear on my left shoulder. That was quite frightening. And then when I was, well, I think it was just before I was 16, um, the whole family experienced something. And at that point, my dad did turn around and sort of maybe agree that there was something in the house after all.
Wow. But they were never present when the lights or the door or anything, or did they just ignore it?
If they did experience any of it, they never discussed it with me.
Oh, bless you. Yeah. So I guess they didn't want to admit it because they didn't want to sort of escalate what you were,
Yeah.
even admit to you, basically.
No.
So
I
for all
think
that
it was
time, they
their
said,
way of
"Oh, it's
trying
nothing."
to protect me almost.
Oh,
So
bless them. So we've got a big shout out to my friend Carl, who's had a bit of a disaster tonight. So nice to see you, Carl. You had a bit of a kettle exploding issue. So thanks for joining us. Um, so from then on, you decided to continue with the paranormal journey then.
I did my first, I suppose, what you might loosely call an investigation when I was 15 and a half-ish, which consisted of me sitting in the long gallery of Hampton Court Palace, hoping to
Wow.
see Henry VIII. Consequently,
Okay.
I didn't see Henry VIII, but I did meet some nice security guards who wondered what on earth I was doing. So yeah, it's the things that happened. I have just looked for, if not an answer, some kind of explanation. And strangely enough, it was social media that actually made me realize that there were lots of other people out there that were either completely as mad as me or we weren't mad at all. It depends from which angle you look at it, really. So
Oh wow, yeah. So this is the thing, we do something which is quite niche in a way, it's getting more popular. But in those days it was, people didn't discuss it as much as
you
now,
didn't
did
talk
they?
about it. No,
And that
no,
was
it was
it.
very much a taboo subject.
So nice comment there from Sabrina.
Hello, lovely.
An awesome investigator. There you go. Hi Nando, hope you're well. So that's an incredible start to the paranormal then.
It
And
was, yes. Threw me in at the deep end somewhat, yes.
definitely. And how do you feel about that time now? How do you look back on that?
How do I look back on it? I know for a fact that um, there has been a recent spate of activity at the
Yeah.
house. It's now, I think, the second or third inhabitants are there. And I would love to actually go back and sort of almost bring it full circle and not be
Wow.
I could go back and not be the scared child that I was then.
Yeah.
That's unfortunately not going to happen. So I don't know. Just look at it as part of life, really.
Yeah. It is
It's,
life
if you don't know any different, that's it's that was just part of how I grew up.
Yeah, that's right. And for a lot of people, they go, "Oh, wish that was me," but my God, no, like,
No, there's some
oh, bless
higher
you, Wes.
ways. Yeah, some bits I look back at and I think, no, I wouldn't wish that on my worst enemy.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Did you sleep? Did you have problems sleeping?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
I used to sleepwalk a lot as well, which how on earth I didn't drown is absolutely beyond me.
Yeah,
I
definitely.
I I would wake up on the other side of the lock by the so I'd have crossed the lock gates. Woke up down by the weir on one occasion,
Oh
which
my
was
God.
a good half a mile walk.
Jeez.
Um, so yeah, yeah, very bizarre.
So I kind of wonder if you protected then, because quite frankly, walking
Possibly.
down to a weir and
Yeah,
to a
yeah,
locks and everything, oh my gosh, that,
yeah. No, it was an interesting. I had a very interesting and unique childhood, shall I say? So,
oh yeah, that's it. And you've done a book as well?
yeah, yeah. The Lock House Haunting. I think it was 2016. I released that.
Wow.
Still available on Amazon, and that basically documents my life from birth
Pajamas?
up until I think I was 21, no 24. So it's the first 24 years of my life.
Oh wow, I see. Oh bless you. But then you sort of went into sort of doing events as well?
Um, when I moved to Gloucestershire, it was through Facebook. As we all know, investigations can be extortionate. Locations
Yes.
charge an absolute fortune, and it was Spooktacular who I sort of went along with, and it was just a good way of meeting like-minded people,
Yeah.
but also looking. I love locations, haunted or not. I love history. I love the architecture. I love old buildings. So it was a wonderful way of getting in, doing some investigations. I used to get into trouble quite a lot because I was always the one on my own. I would be the one that, when you're going round in a group, they turn left, I would go right, or I would just hang back.
Yeah, I do that.
Yeah, so Nat used to tell me off quite a bit, but then
Bless her.
it was I don't know, after a few years of doing that, we were actually with another group as well, and we had such a bad experience with them that one of the regulars that I went out with, they said, look, why don't you start up your own group? And
Yeah.
13 years later, we're still going strong, so
That's
we
brilliant.
must be doing something right.
That's great. So is it private? Is it public for anybody listening?
It's both. We haven't done anything private since before COVID.
Okay.
I've done a couple of consultations, just over the phone, helping people, because I think quite often you don't need sometimes to even enter the house, which
Wow.
sounds a bit bizarre, but if you can just change the mindset of somebody and make them appreciate that maybe the house possibly isn't haunted, but maybe they might need something done with the electrics,
Yes.
or they might, put some oil on the door. It's just because a door opens and closes by itself doesn't mean that there's a ghost.
That's right. You've got to
It
look at
means that
all
the door may be
angles.
not hung properly. So look into these sorts of things.
That's right.
And then a lot of them will do. I was out this weekend, funnily enough, with our Corrine and Kim over at the old vicarage.
Wow. Yeah, that looks
So
interesting. Was it a good weekend?
activity-wise, it was extremely quiet, but it was a lovely weekend.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
found it quiet this weekend.
I think a
Don't
lot of
know.
people did. I think perhaps all
Yeah.
the energy's gone after all of these wonderful pictures of the aurora
Yeah, of
borealis. I reckon it's
course.
drained out all the energy.
Yeah, I don't know. It was just strange at the weekend.
Mm.
I was in the city of Caves, Nottingham, and it was just, I don't know. It's just something I couldn't put my finger on, to be fair. And yeah, did not prank anyone that night.
No, she was very good,
Wow,
very
that
well
makes a
behaved,
change, doesn't it?
which put me on edge to start with, to be honest. So
Oh, bless you. So, we're kind of having a chat about people and what they're doing in the paranormal. And I saw somebody like trying to show his YouTube where there's been an accident and he's making surmises of how somebody's passed away. And like some people just have no manners or anything, do they? And they just don't give a monkeys about people and the relatives who are still around.
I really think that there are some people that want to. I don't really think it, actually. I believe it, that there are some people that just want to make a name for themselves and they don't care who they walk on, who they hurt, and actually what lies they tell, as long as
That's
they get
it.
themselves noticed.
Yeah, it's just so
And it
bad for
drives
us,
me up the
doesn't it?
wall.
Yeah. I was just horrified. I saw this guy post and he said, "Oh, it wasn't an accident, it was something else." And I thought, you can't write that.
No.
And they'd even got a picture of the car, and it was a recent car, and it's like, no, you can't do that. And I've seen it on 2 groups now, and I've left 2 comments. And the first one was removed by the admins, I think, So he hasn't blocked me because I've seen it somewhere else.
Okay. Yeah. No,
It's just
it's completely unnecessary. It's unethical,
definitely
and you shouldn't be doing it. End of.
no,
It's completely disrespectful.
because we do get a bad enough name as it is.
Oh,
You
don't
know,
we ever? Yeah.
by what we do. You know, it is a bit strange what we do. In all fairness, you know, going around these buildings, it's cold, it's dark,
I
and we're
know,
just
but
chatting
it's
to thin
fun.
air. You know, as we do.
Yeah. I know, and I think the problem is that, especially now with social media, we have this desire to tell everybody what we're doing,
Mm.
down to what we're eating, what we're drinking, and all the rest of it.
Oh yeah, a cup of
And
coffee.
I personally, I post very little, um, unless it's something to do with the paranormal, and it's usually an article or something along those lines. But I certainly would not discuss any of our clients
No.
on social media. Um, I wouldn't say where I was going unless it's a public event, sort of hosted, say, by Kareen or something like that. But I
Mm.
certainly don't go into the details of it. And any of
No.
the, I say, evidence that we do find that we put up on our page, um, either I will ensure that it doesn't relate back to a certain building, unless
Right.
we've got the permission of those concerned.
Yeah, that's right.
And
Yeah.
it's just common courtesy.
Yeah, and it's about building respect for you and not breaking that respect between you and
Definitely.
other people, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. Yes. And if you've got people that are going to do that, then they shouldn't be doing it, to be honest.
No,
They
that's
shouldn't be doing the
right.
paranormal. Find something else to do.
Yeah, that's right. I've just, you know, this twice. I've just seen it. Oh, here we go. Remember when Derek Acorah passed? Yeah, exactly. Same
Yeah.
people all the time as well. And it's
Yep.
to sell a stage show, wasn't it? After all, you
Mm,
know, they
yep.
needed to sell tickets. So, oh, let's keep having a go. And it's just appalling. Yeah.
I honestly think, because you can't regulate the paranormal, um, if you've got proof, then call that person out.
Yeah, that's right.
And if you haven't got proof, just ignore them. They are only looking for clicks and likes. If you
Yeah.
don't give them that, they will eventually shut up and bugger off.
Yeah, that's right. But you kind of feel like people like this support them, though, don't you? Know, so many people support these idiots, really, don't they?
Mm.
And it's just so pathetic. And it is that sort of investigator who gets the likes and views.
Oh yeah, yeah, definitely.
You know, I don't, I just want to be respectful. And if people watch, I'm really grateful. So thanks everyone for tuning in. And I want to thank everybody who I speak to, like you're giving up your time tonight. And I want to thank you for that. But
Thank you.
I'm not
All right.
in it for the reason to get likes and things.
No,
I
no,
just do things
exactly.
which I think are true and fair, you know, and I'm not going to go WTF or OMG, I legged it
Oh
out of this
God.
building to sell something. It's like, no, you know, and
I don't
it's
know if it's an age thing, because I am the most untechnical person I know, which is quite weird when you think that I work in ICT. And my favourite line is, "Look, turn it off and turn it back on again." So
I've seen that. I've said it in a job once. Yay!
yeah, exactly.
I laughed.
But I think it seems to be the younger generation that want all these likes, and
Mm,
it seems to be almost like you get instant fame. Um,
yeah.
and some of the people that we've seen that have gone from being appalling investigators to then getting a place on television, and you're just
Yeah.
like, no. Um, and that's what, and then you've got the public that they will, what they see on the likes of these programs is what they perceive us to all be like.
Oh gosh, definitely.
And
It's
that's
so
that's
wrong.
the scary thing.
Yeah, that's it. Like when you do get people like, you know, you're hosting an event and they come in and go, "Oh, I watch Most Haunted," and you think, "Oh gosh," you know, do we
Well,
explain to them? You know?
this is it. I mean, Most Haunted is. I think you have to explain that it is entertainment.
Yeah.
I can be sorry enough to say that I actually appeared on Most Haunted many,
Wow.
many, many moons ago.
Oh my
Um,
gosh.
I know. I was on the quiz and I lost because I couldn't remember the name of a tube station in London. Um,
Wow.
but this is it. It's entertainment. It is not a serious investigation.
Yeah, that's
Um,
right.
I've been lucky enough to be involved in a couple of television programs, which one that is currently on Amazon, and it
Yeah,
is a serious investigation.
that's better.
Um,
Yeah.
you've got an hour's worth of uh, documentation there on film, of which 5 minutes of it is possibly about myself and my team. Um, and that was over, I don't know, a month's worth of filming.
Yeah.
So it's you can't just judge it by what you see on television.
Yeah. And Karen says it was amazing.
It was amazing,
That's
but
brilliant.
it's all that was. I mean, we were lucky. It was also right place, right time as well. But I mean, as I say, we were out this weekend. I was out with Sabrina the previous weekend. We had absolutely no activity whatsoever. So that's what best part of 24 hours sitting around, talking to fresh air, trying experiments with nothing.
But
And
having a laugh as
that's
well.
the reality of it.
Yeah, but the reality is you carry on so far. Oh, you're trying to get something, nothing's happening. Chat among yourselves and have a laugh, don't you?
Exactly. Exactly.
Like how many times you think, oh, nothing's happening, you have a laugh, and then something might happen because you're ignoring them.
Yeah. It's like,
You
oh,
know,
I'm being ignored. I need to be center of
yeah, let's
attention
do
again.
something. Yeah, ghostly footsteps was
Yes, My
fantastic.
Ghostly Footsteps. That was the documentary, and it was
Oh
very
wow.
good, very interesting. But
Can we find that
yeah,
now? Is that
pardon.
around? Can that
Say
be
again.
found? Can that be found
Yeah,
now?
yes, it's on Amazon Prime.
Oh, okay. My
Yes,
ghostly footsteps. Yeah, I'll have
My
a look for
Ghostly
that.
Footsteps. Yes,
Cool. Yeah, because I've
yes.
actually got Amazon. I haven't got many others. So everything's
No, we've
subscription, isn't it? So I've just given up on that.
yes, yeah. No,
Yeah.
but no, it's on there. I think it's a couple of pound, but nothing very.
Oh
I think
wow.
it's 1 or 2.99. But
Oh,
that's about it.
excellent.
But yeah, no, it's good. It's worth a watch.
Oh yeah, I will do that because it's nice to watch real content. Um,
Exactly,
I do
exactly.
keep clear of a lot of content. I generally only watch podcasts from my friends. I don't watch the major TV things anymore because you just get so frustrated and have to turn TV off, don't you?
Yeah.
Well, you have to break
I
it
mean,
to be fair.
there are some people out there that, let's be honest, their work is genuine.
Yeah.
Phil Wyman's team,
Oh gosh,
they
yeah, I
do
watch Are You
exactly.
Haunted? Yeah,
Yeah.
that's right. I've seen them at the
So I'm
weekend.
not casting the brush over everybody,
Oh no,
but
and
we
Wayne
can.
as well. What he
I
does.
think we all know who we're talking about
Oh
when
yeah.
we sort of along the lines of Most Haunted and Mr.
Hashtag
Baggins
demon.
and
Yeah.
yeah, and things like that. So
Yeah. Oh no,
yeah,
that there are the real people, and I think anyone in the paranormal community knows sort of who you can watch and who you can't,
yeah,
basically.
yeah,
And if you want to see a venue, location, whatever, watch them. But mm,
exactly. It is a good way of looking at places to go and visit, even if you're
yeah,
not
that's
interested in
right.
the paranormal.
Yeah, that's it. And yeah, I've done that in the past, like been going to a location, but now, I just go to the location and then try not to read up on it and then see what I get,
And see what you
see what I
get. Yeah,
can pick up.
exactly.
And I am going to some great places soon, so looking
Yeah,
forward to it. So
it's it's that season now, isn't it? The nights are drawing in, and the paranormal investigators are going out.
yeah, I'm going to the
Yeah,
I'm a Celeb castle.
you're a what? Sorry.
I'm going to the I'm a Celebrity castle in
Oh,
Wales.
in Wales. Oh,
Yeah,
lovely.
that one. Yeah,
Yeah,
I can't
that's
pronounce
beautiful.
it, so yeah, I'm going there in November. Well, just after Halloween, so I'm looking forward to that.
Oh, that'll be lovely.
Yeah, so
Be very atmospheric.
oh, definitely, yeah. The
Get
colder
lots of good
nights are
photos.
getting now, aren't they? So what, 3 weeks' time, it's gonna be
Yeah.
even colder. I guess a
Yes.
lot of it's outside, so hey-ho. But,
Get some good photos.
so what do you think about the whole paranormal thing then? How spirits work? What do you think spirits are? How do you think it all works?
Now that how long are we on for?
Yeah, it's a good
Right.
issue.
Okay. Um, I think it's energy.
Yeah,
I think that um, I'm trying to think how to put it into words. It's very interesting. I'll give you a strange analogy. Many,
yeah.
many years ago, when I lived on the river, we had some family friends who had retired. They met at Auschwitz. They were German Jews and they met in
Wow.
the concentration camp. I don't know how they got to the UK, whether they were rescued or whether they escaped. They didn't talk about it. The only reason I know is because I saw their tattoo. As I say, they were retired. They had a son, and their son had a daughter. And one afternoon, evening, we were all on the boat, my parents included, and we were all having some wine, and the subject of the afterlife came up. Things like this conversation would come up frequently when I was about, even as a child. And I asked them if they believed in life after death, and categorically they both said no. And the gentleman's answer was, when we die, there is nothing. We are just fodder for the worms. I was
Right,
like,
okay.
okay. And I asked his son the same question. And his son said, oh, no, I believe in life after death. We're going to meet. I'll see my parents when I die and that. I said, well, how are you going to see your parents if your parents don't believe in life after death? And he said, because that's their memories. He said, my life after death will be my memories. And I thought that was quite a fascinating thought on it, that
Wow.
our afterlife is our conscious memories, which are obviously unique to each individual.
Wow.
So I think that has some merit.
Yeah,
I
it's
also think that
mind-blowing.
it is each down to, I think each person's afterlife is unique to them.
Mhm.
Um,
As is our
because
current life.
as is our current life, exactly. But I think predominantly it is the energy side of it. And I'm trying to think of the phrase which won't come to mind at the moment, but basically the whole universe is energy. Everything is
Yeah.
energy. And the level of energy within the universe never changes. It's always this, it never goes up or down. So when
You
somebody,
think with the wind and the sea and
it's all coming from somewhere else,
right,
isn't it?
okay.
It's the wind is caused by the movement of clouds,
Yeah.
and the thermals and all of that. There's nothing coming from outside of the universe.
No, no, get you.
Everything is in there. So the level of energy always remains the same. It can change, just like a caterpillar to a butterfly.
Yeah.
But the level of energy within everywhere will not change, will
Wow.
not go up or down. So I think, there's when we die, the energy from our consciousness, from our bodies, that doesn't go into the earth, it becomes the soul, for want of a better description.
Wow. Yeah. That's intriguing. I like that.
So that's my. I had. Have you heard of Dr. Cal Cooper?
Yeah, I've
Yeah,
interviewed him. I've actually
yeah,
investigated with him
lovely
as
guy.
well.
He
Yeah,
he
he's
wrote a book.
local-ish.
Yeah, he is. Yeah, he wrote a book called
Northampton.
Telephone Calls from the Dead.
I have it. Yeah.
If you look on about a third of the way through, you will find my experience in there. From when I spoke to my dad 3 weeks after he died.
Wow.
And I asked him if there was a God, because I
Yeah.
was going to ask him about Elvis, but I just thought at that time I had this such a unique opportunity.
Yeah.
And
That's it.
his answer was that there was a God, but it was nothing that me or anyone living could even begin to comprehend.
Mhm.
And I think that is exactly what it is. We can't understand it, so the best we can do is put our own slant on it, and go from there.
Could, but it's a question of like, could we deal with what it really is as well? Because
Exactly.
sometimes things are so big that we wouldn't deal with it, like the
No.
whole like UFOs and ufology, and people
Yeah.
are getting more used to the idea now. But like years ago, like it, you know, if the government had said that these were around, then can you imagine the panic and everything?
Yeah.
But it's
And the
coming
thing is
out
as well,
more now.
you if there are aliens, which I am I completely think there are, because I'm not that big-headed to think that we're the
We're
only
the only ones,
living thing
yeah.
on in the universe.
Here we go. We've got one. There's proof.
Got one. Oh yeah,
Gary's
her
mum.
mother's, yeah, we know her mother's an alien, yes. Um, it would, but if there are, it completely throws out religion.
Yes.
Because are you telling me that they will have the same religious beliefs on a different planet in a different solar system
Mhm.
that we've got?
Yeah.
So yeah, so it's a very fascinating area, but yeah, I think it can just be too big a question.
Yeah, that's right. I've sort of read books sometimes, and my gosh, the theories on there. It's a book called Fingerprints of the Gods, and it's basically
Hmm.
looking at Noah's Ark, where it is, and then looking at it in South America. And like you got the two stories happening in
Hmm.
different parts of the world.
Yeah.
And it's the same theory, same story, and yet they're reciting quite a few things which are exactly the same. And also the fact that they mapped Antarctica when it was covered in ice.
Hmm.
And yet how did they manage that? And obviously you've got the pyramids and everything, and how ancient civilizations have built things, how they've lined up to the planet system and solar system and everything. And it's mind blowing, isn't it?
It is. I mean, when you think that you get houses that are built now which have continual issues with them years and years later, yet you've got buildings that have been up since, well, since time began, and they're still
That's right.
standing fine. They certainly knew how to build things back then.
Definitely. So I've been to Chichen Itza, Ishmael, and a few of the Yucatan sites, and it's fascinating. Like you go in the jungle and they're there, and
Yeah, I know.
the walls
Yeah.
are still standing. Yet
Yep.
here,
Yeah,
your
exactly.
buildings struggle, and like the modern houses now, how many years are they going to last?
Exactly.
And
Exactly.
yeah,
But
it's just
they call it progress, unfortunately.
yeah. Well, it's
No,
so that they just have to keep getting them fixed, so it keeps the economy flowing, doesn't it? One way
exactly.
or
Yeah.
another, rather than having something which actually is built to last, just like modern society and clothes, and you're just buying things really cheap and just
Yeah.
discard everything. And that is a major issue now, though, isn't it?
It is. It is.
Nothing is built to last, and nobody particularly cares anymore because they just go out because they don't like the look of something. Just buy another one to replace it because it doesn't match the colour of the kitchen or something.
No, exactly. Yeah. But
Yeah, and it's mad, isn't it? Really,
mm,
how things have changed really since in our lifetime, basically.
I do find it quite fascinating, actually. I'm well into my second half of the century, and you look back on the last 50 years, the changes, not
Yeah.
only the physical changes, but the changes in people's beliefs and perspectives as well, has just altered enormously.
Oh, the attitudes. Oh
Mm.
dear. Respect. The
Well,
respect. The
it goes
respect
both
we
ways,
know,
doesn't it?
but the respect we know, what we call respect, to what they call on the streets respect. There's a
Yeah.
whole different meaning of the word.
Oh, yes. But when you look back now, how people were treated sort of, 50 odd years
Yeah,
ago,
that's right. Yeah,
at least we have come forward.
that's right, massively.
And there is a lot more
Thankfully.
tolerance, although you wouldn't believe it if you turn on the news.
Yeah, that's
Um,
right.
but there is a lot more tolerance. And I do think that although we've slated a few programs, and some people, I do think that the paranormal is beginning to improve. I think, especially within the paranormal community themselves, we are becoming less tolerant of the idiots. And the idiots or most of them seem to be dropping by the wayside.
Mhm.
Um, and I think that, again, it comes down to maybe they are learning that, we need to respect each other and the living and the dead.
That's right.
And I
Yeah.
think that there's always going to be idiots in any walk of life.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
And I think we've just, it does seem that people are more willing to listen and expand their points of view.
Yeah.
Not necessarily change their points of view, but expand it and take on other people's ideas without shutting them down.
That's right. Yeah. That is a big thing though, isn't it?
Mm.
But there are some people who sit on a pedestal and go, that doesn't work. And then others it does. Like obviously it's the issue with like apps. What do you think of apps? Phone apps.
What I don't understand about apps and technology is how does somebody that may have died in the 1800s know how to work them?
Yeah.
How do they know how to work an Alice box?
Yeah.
How do they know how to work a K2 meter?
I know, and it's the way we
So they're
talk to
not going
them
to
as
know how to
well.
work an app because they're not even going to know what a telephone is.
Yeah, and it's a scary prospect that what we're holding as to what on earth it is because it's got lights on it. It's yeah,
Yeah. So no, they are for entertainment
yeah.
purposes. They're not, in my opinion, for serious investigators. My equipment consists of a couple of voice recorders, and a camera, and
Do
that's
you get
it.
a lot of Do you get a lot of EVPs then?
Um, we've had some good ones in the past. But it's kind of I don't do. Well, I said I, do, I will do EVP response and calls, but quite often I would just leave one on in a room for the whole evening.
Right. Yeah.
Because I'm a great believer of in any walk of life is when you leave, somebody will wave goodbye to you, but you can't see
Yeah.
it because your back's turned to them. So it would be interesting to hear if someone's going, thank God for that, they've just left.
Yeah.
And you might be able to capture something like that. But yeah, we've had a few.
Yeah. I just find that whatever equipment, it's whether it reacts to, you ask it to do something, and if you get an immediate reaction. And I do use apps sometimes. It's not my preferred method, but when I use them, and if you get a very relevant word, if you ask for a name and you get a name, then the probability of that is happening, yeah, it's likely, because it does throw out a lot of names. But then if you get another load of words which are very relevant to where you are, or if it replies to something on demand which actually makes sense. It's about the probability of it coming out with the right word, isn't it? And also the timing of it coming out with the right word.
Yes, and it's also about how we perceive those words,
Yes,
because
that's right. Because one
humans
word can
are,
be,
it's almost like a form of audible pareidolia.
yeah,
You
it's whether you
we
make it
we
fit,
are
isn't it?
so keen to put I was watching something the other night, and the reason I was watching it was because they were at a location that I was going to, and they were using is it an ovulus?
Yes.
And they came out with, I don't know, half a dozen different words, and they were filling in, they were conducting the most wonderful story of what these words
Yeah.
meant. And I was just like, it could mean anything.
Yeah,
And
that's
I think
right.
that's what we have to be really careful of, is that we don't put our thoughts onto it and our beliefs. We have to take it exactly as what it is, and not try and make a story out of it.
And that's the problem. That's the human way, isn't it? It's
Yeah,
natural for us to want to make a story
yeah,
out of
as
something.
humans, we want to, we
Yeah.
need to.
Yeah, and that's it, isn't it? Like when anyone who does mediumship, you just have to go with it, but you don't make things fit either. So if
No,
you come out with something, then don't keep elaborating until it fits.
exactly.
Just say how it was when it first came out.
Yeah,
You saw what you saw, there you go. Don't then, because somebody doesn't recognise it, just change it a little bit, change it a bit more. So something there. And that's it, isn't it? So Natasha says they don't like the devices. So
I personally
that's
don't
good.
think
And
they
that's
do either.
interesting.
I
Yeah.
I think, if I'm honest, that people that pass away from, or have passed over from, I don't know, maybe the late set from the 70s onwards, I think that when we're able to speak with them, they may have that understanding.
Yeah, that's right.
But you can't expect anything really pre the First World War, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's also how they see them. Like I've asked before, and it seems that spirits see as a shadow. So potentially, when we see a shadow, it could be the spirit. So,
Hmm.
and most of the time, don't see anything. But if we can't see them, and questionable if they can see us, how can they see a little plastic box?
Exactly. Exactly.
And it is weird, but I do get things going off which shouldn't go off. So I don't actually know how that works.
No,
And it's strange, isn't it?
no. I mean, we use for, and have done for the last 6 or 7 years, as part of an experiment, we use an Ouija board,
Yes.
and we have a particular method that we use. So we don't start with the "is there anybody there" or anything like that,
Yeah.
but we have a method using the Ouija board and Zena cards to see if we can get a response. And those on the board and myself, we have 2 sets basically of Zena cards, and it's basically what we're asking is the spirits to play pairs, in its
Wow.
simplest
Yeah.
terms.
Nice one.
So we have one set of Zena cards out by the board, and then we will randomly choose one, and hold it up behind her back so we don't see it, and we ask the spirits to take the glass to the matching card.
Wow. That's brilliant.
Now, it shouldn't work, but it does
Hmm.
sometimes. Doesn't work very often, but when it does, and we'll do it in sets of 5. So you might get, it might happen none in 5. If you're lucky, it might happen 1 in 5. We have had it on 3, I can't think, maybe half a dozen occasions where it has been correct 15 out of 15 times.
Wow.
Now,
Incredible.
how do you, I'm not saying it's spirits. I'm
Yeah.
saying that it isn't the idometer theory that gets blown out of the water. I don't know what it is, because it shouldn't work, but it does on occasion.
Hmm.
I don't understand it.
Yeah. And Karen doesn't either, because she
No,
doesn't believe in the board.
she's seen it happen a few times as well, and when it works, it's mind blowing, and you just,
Yeah.
the adrenaline rush I get from when it does work. And I've had other
Yeah.
teams do it as well, and they've contacted me and said, "Oh my God, we did it, last night, and we got 6 out of 7 responses." That's huge.
It
To get
is.
those,
Yeah.
to get repeated responses correct is huge.
That's right. Because probability, you can only go so many, can't you? You know,
Exactly.
and when you get them all spot on, it's like, yeah, okay,
Yeah,
explain that
exactly.
one.
So
It's
I do think that maybe, I don't know, maybe the equipment might work sometimes if you've got a spirit that comes through that has some kind of understanding from it. Possibly it does. I don't know. How are we going to know?
wow.
Well, we will
Yeah.
know, but it'll be too late then. So,
Yeah, that's right. It is so fascinating. I did go to a place just outside Stratford, and it turned out a former landlord came through, and he passed in 1999, and we were on the board, and on the board he kept doing ha ha, ha to our
mhm.
questions, and he spelled out on the board, "How are you doing this?" And that's
Okay.
the difference because we always assume it's they're doing it. But he asked us how we were doing it.
Mhm.
And we were asking him a lot of questions, obviously, because he was on our side. You know what I mean? And it it is lovely when you can actually speak to somebody who's like on your wavelength, who
Yeah.
is willing to speak to you.
Oh God, yeah. Yeah,
And it's
definitely.
so great when you can sort of get the information from somebody like him.
Mm. Yeah, no, definitely. I
If
mean,
if
the
you
thing
had
that
that,
we forget as well is time is not linear. Yeah,
hmm
yeah. Well, one of the things that we had a few years ago, which always blows my mind, was we were at our local town hall, which used to be a Red Cross hospital during the First World War,
wow,
and we had a lady came through who gave her name, and after doing some quite extensive research because it wasn't easy to find, she turned out she was exactly as she said on the board. She was the staff nurse during the whole of World War I.
wow.
None of us had any. I couldn't believe it when I found this. Absolutely gobsmacked.
Ah, okay. You've read Sabrina's mind.
Oh yeah, tell them about Lydney. Yeah,
Yeah. It's amazing though when you get that, isn't it?
yeah. So yes, well, when it happens, I mean, I was with Kim at St Breville's Castle, which is one of my personal favourite places, and we tried this experiment, and the cards were pushed off the table by the glass with our hands on there, but it was neither of us. I can
Mhm.
100% vouch
Yeah.
for that. And then it spelt out boring. I was brilliant.
Wow.
And it's just like, okay, then
Incredible.
yeah, you don't want to play this game, fair enough.
Yeah, it is fascinating because we try and communicate with them, but we don't know the best way to do it.
No,
Like if we can't get like the EVP, if you leave it running, then you're not going to get the answers. If you go through the process of ask a few questions, then listen to the EVP, you're still not having a conversation
no.
one on one, and it is difficult, isn't it? And you've got so many questions as well. It must be infuriating to them.
I think so, but I also think that maybe we're not supposed to know the answers.
Some of them, I believe that.
You
Yes.
know, there are times when we just shouldn't know the answers, and that's possibly why we don't get that form of communication all of the
Yeah,
time.
that's right. And that's part of the reason that I've gone down the mediumship route because I want more proper communication.
Hmm.
I want to know things. I want to get the questions so then you can get the answer.
Yeah, and
You
it's
know, if
all
you've
about
got,
asking the right question.
yeah, that's right. And
Mm.
there's a stage when I was fed these questions where you get people, it's a public event, people have dowsing rods. And I'm getting given the questions, knowing the answer, because every question I know is going to be a yes.
Yeah,
And the dowsing rods were going, yeah, 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 and then I'd change it to I'd ensure I asked something wrong, just to make sure that the person using the rods was doing it correctly as well. And, when you can feed into that and get the story and build it up that way, it's great.
Yeah,
But to try and build it up without getting that, it's so hard, isn't it?
it is. And I think I think this is where research comes in as well, where you get what you can and then you look to see if what you've got will fit, not trying to
Yeah.
make it fit,
Yeah. The
but just
actual
by,
will.
if you
Yeah.
get something and you can then look back through the archives and see if somewhere along the lines it makes sense
Mm-hmm.
without embellishing it, obviously. And that's what amazes me is how many people don't do any research, or they just make it up as they go along.
Yeah. I
um
don't do research because I want to pick it up mediumistically. I'm not saying I'm a medium, but sometimes I'll get information or images.
mm.
Then I'll get
Yeah, but
names and
you'd go and
dates.
check those afterwards,
I
wouldn't you?
do check it
Yeah,
afterwards,
exactly.
yes.
That's what I
You're
mean.
not
So
just going to go
afterwards
with
you've got
that.
it,
Yeah.
you do your research to find if any of it is relevant anywhere.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
And that's to me is the only way you're going to do it. The only way you're going to get any answers.
Yeah. But a lot of the time, the information you get, you're not going to get the information, you're not going to find out if it's true or not, because I found out from a local hall. I got this information and I got a I was picking it up. But there are going to be no records of this.
No,
And
no,
this is a
that's
problem
also
because
the
things
case.
happened in history which they wanted to cover up.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Specifically, I think it was either an illegitimate child or a disabled child, and it was like a well-to-do family. And I
Uh-huh.
don't think there's even going to be a record of this child. And the circumstances that I picked that he was being brought up in, out the way,
Yeah.
locked in a room, and there's just going
So
to be
I'm laughing
no.
because I watched a film last night called The Disappointments Room,
Oh,
and
okay.
and
Right.
in the southern states of North America, the wealthy had a room where if they had a child that was disabled, or had some issues with it, this child would basically be kept in this room,
Yeah,
and
that's
that's
what I
where
picked
their
up on.
disappointment was kept, and there would be
Yeah,
no records, or very
yeah,
few,
and
very sparse records.
this is what I picked up, and
Mm,
it was horrific. And it'd be interesting, like if another team go into there and they actually get the same.
yeah,
And I got that he was like on the floor just grabbing scraps from the kitchen and oh, it's horrible. It's like he was a dog. Oh my
yeah.
gosh, it was
And this
horrendous.
is
Like
this
the
is this
imagery I
is
was getting.
another issue, isn't it? Really, that a lot of teams don't want to share their locations or their evidence.
Mhm.
How are you ever going to get any form of
Oh my
substantive evidence if you're
gosh.
not sharing it?
Oh, Natasha. Oh, I bet
See,
that's
I
got a
didn't
sad
even know
image of
these
her.
rooms had a name until last night, and I've just found this
Wow.
absolutely fascinating.
Yeah, I didn't.
Natasha, can you message me please and tell me about it?
Yeah, I'm intrigued as well. Wow. Yeah, I didn't even realise it happened until I mentioned to my friend who doesn't do paranormal. And she said, "Yeah, that happened." And it's like, oh God, and like now I go to that place and it's my local park, and it's like, like I don't see it the same anymore.
No.
It's somewhere you've grown up as a child, but if indeed that history is true, which
Yeah.
but I got a lot of graphic images. And there's a medium there who was sort of agreeing with what I said, and he added to it as well. So it would be interesting if some other group would get it.
Yeah,
And
definitely.
yeah, I'd love to hear if anybody. It's a place that I go to in Nottingham, and I've not publicised the info. I have done write-ups, but I won't publicise a lot of the information what we've got from there because.
No.
And I've spoken to two of the teams that they've got exactly the same as us. And
Okay.
it's just wonderful to get that, get the same story from them as well.
when you get that
It's
collaboration
fascinating.
of evidence, it's
Yeah.
the best. It really is.
And this story is so grim, it can't go out.
No,
You know, it's not good, and you know, you certainly don't want it promoting. But, you know, to get somebody else getting the same stories and the same evidence and know it can't be backed up, you know, you won't be able to prove it with history or anything.
no,
There's
but
just
if you can
nothing
get it
there.
that way, if you get multiple teams saying the
Yeah,
same thing, um,
yeah. Learning to support.
okay. Mm.
Ceiling was dark blue to keep everything darker, calmer for him. So this room I was in it had all black walls, so I don't know why. Whether it's just time all the walls were black in this room.
Okay.
But you know, I don't know if that's how it was then. It's a bit weird when you know, it's just yeah, I don't know why the walls black, but
No.
I just thought it was because yeah,
But
I
yeah,
don't know.
if you can get other teams getting the same kind of thing, same
Yeah,
evidence coming out, that's just brilliant.
yeah, yeah. You know, it was. I think it's PHI. And yeah, and they sent me what they got, and it's like, oh my gosh, you've got the same. You know,
Yeah.
and yeah, and it is fascinating, isn't it?
It is, and that's the thing that keeps us going, isn't it?
Oh
Is
my
the
gosh, it is. Yeah,
it's just, you
definitely.
can go months, sometimes even years with nothing, and you're wondering why you're doing this, and you're on the point of going, "Oh, I'm going to give up. I'm going to take up stamp collecting instead," and then bam, you'll get something, and it's like, no, this is why I do this and not stamp collecting. It's an amazing feeling.
Oh, it is incredible, yeah. So you mentioned St. Breville's. Where else is one of your favourite locations as well?
Was my yeah, St Breville's does top it for me. Um, I'm going
Why
to have
is
to
that?
say it.
Why is that?
Why? I love the history behind it. The fact I've done nearly 40 investigations there over the years.
Wow, incredible.
We get repeated similar things coming up. We get similar stuff listening, speak to other groups who've been there, and we'll get similar things. And it's just such a hotbed of activity. I've never known nothing.
Wow,
And
incredible, yeah.
I've got audio, video. Um, I've seen apparitions there. I've heard things. Yeah, it's just an amazing place. We'll have to also say the Jamaica Inn because she's listening. We'll have to say that
Yeah,
one.
yeah.
Chillingham Castle was also amazing. That was incredible.
Heard good reports on that place.
Yes.
Definitely.
Yeah, after sitting there for 10 minutes looking at a ghost and not realizing, a ghost, a spirit, and not realizing I was actually looking at one was actually even more bizarre. But there we go.
My God. Wow.
We were up in the King Edward's room, and they went down. Everyone went to get their equipment, and because I have walking issues, I said, "Oh, I'll stay here." And it was like semi-darkness. And in the room, there's a bed, there's a dining table area. There's also can't think what they call, like a, no, word's gone, like a walkway going round the top of the room. And then there was a couple of mannequins in this archway. And so I'm sitting there and I'm just, calling out. I felt like I was being watched, but didn't think too much about it. I just thought it was because of this this walkway thing. And then when the others came up, the manager came up with them as well. And they said, "Oh, were you all right?" I said, "Yeah." I said, "Fine." I said, "Me and the mannequins, they've kept me company, not a problem." And the manager looked at me, he said, "Mannequins?" I said, "Yeah, the two." And there was only one, but there'd been two there the whole time. And yeah,
Wow.
it was just bizarre. And I was like, I just couldn't understand why. If it didn't move, it just stood there in the gloom. Um,
Wow.
and apparently, the manager said, "Yeah, this happens quite frequently. It happened to her as well." So there we go.
Incredible.
But yeah, that's a beautiful place.
So the
Absolutely
fact that you
stunning.
can see, are you mediumistic Do you pick things up? Do you see things in your mind's eye?
Yeah, I can do. I'm a bit naughty, really. I tend not to use it
Right,
because
yeah.
I want physical evidence
Yeah,
because
get you.
um yeah, I used to, and I used to be quite good at the old mediumistic bit. I was talking to Barry John actually and said I don't want the responsibility of it,
Right, I get you.
which is why I don't use them, if that makes sense.
Yeah. I kind of feel that if spirit can talk to you that way, it stops them communicating a different way,
It's
because I
possible,
kind
yeah.
of think it's easier for them. So if you can sort of see in your mind's eye, then it saves them from making an effort to
Yeah,
do
yeah,
something
it's
else.
it's a thought.
And I've kind of found that if they are coming through that way, then you're not getting interaction on the kit as much.
No, no, that's also quite possible. Although
And
I
then,
know we had a medium with us at the weekend, and she was getting absolutely nothing there as well. So
oh wow, right.
I think they'd all gone on holiday, to be honest, somewhere warm.
Yeah. Yeah, City of Caves was weird. I don't know. I couldn't put my finger on it.
No,
You know, the three groups and some did get things, and yeah, I kind of got something going on, but yeah, it was, I don't know. But yeah, it was interesting location,
mm.
but a bit noisy because it's got a sump all the time. So
It's got a what?
sump, because it will
Oh,
end up
okay,
getting flooded. Um,
okay,
yeah, so they do have like little pools of water in there, and basically, I guess if a sump's not working, it
yeah,
wouldn't be a pool of water. Well, yeah, it'd be a massive pool of water,
it
wouldn't
would
it?
be.
An
Yeah,
hour and
yeah,
a mile.
definitely.
But yeah, so and that's kind of frustrating when you've sort of got the continual. But you know, we did hear footsteps, we did hear things we couldn't explain, and you like that, you know, it's great. And if I'm hosting, I like people to get personal evidence. If
Yeah,
something touches them, or if they get something breathe on them, and it's stuff that they can take away, and nobody can sort of say no, you didn't. And
exactly. Yeah,
those
another
things like
of
that I
our
like.
favourite locations where the activity or can be remarkable is the George Jarvis School, which is also owned by
Ah,
Spooktacular, and
not
the
been
Nunnery
doing
as
that.
well.
Nunnery, wow, yes,
The last two
yes,
investigations we've done there have just been mind blowing.
yeah. I went there with Tony Ferguson. There were only a few of us, and oh my
Okay,
gosh, yeah, it was fascinating what we got, because somehow he attracts voices, and he can hear the words, and we can
okay,
hear the voices, and we can hear the sounds, and it's
uh-huh.
yeah, we got some amazing stuff through. But yeah, Woodchester as well.
Yeah, Woodchester's. We've had some fascinating things at Woodchester. That Woodchester's an enigma, because it's the one place that shouldn't be haunted,
Well,
but
yeah, 'cause it wasn't finished, was it?
it wasn't finished. So it's got to come from either the previous house that was there, or as Corrine suggests, maybe we're creating the spirits there ourselves. Um,
Yes, I think that happens because,
mm,
and also we're taking them with us. So if we get an investigation and we technically get an attachment, we could take that there and leave it there. If
yeah, I suppose that's yes.
potentially, like, I do know that I was hosting an event once, and a person came along, and he brought a spirit from Australia there. In fact, he turned up in the building, and he had to go out because he got into a mess straight away.
Okay,
And they picked up what that spirit actually was, which is mad.
wow.
But he'd been on a ghost hunt, and somehow it's
Yeah, we haven't had
a
it for a
whole
while,
thing.
but we did have one that followed us for a few a few places, including my friend's home, which was a bit weird. Um,
Yes, we've had that.
and that she would come through quite frequently, but we've not heard anything from her now for quite a few years, which is probably not a bad thing, to be honest.
Yeah, it is strange though, isn't it?
Mm,
How I kind of feel that sometimes they're attracted to me and they do follow me, and I do get
Yeah.
stuck with them for a bit. There's two. I went. I was at Tutbury Castle and I was hosting there, and I was with the guests for 40 minutes. I think two threw up within half an hour, and I'd
Okay.
picked up like on a specific spirit. And then the next investigation I went on, somebody threw up, and I think, and then they got that same person at that location.
Okay.
So I kind of think she kind of stuck with me for a while, which is a bit. I think they've gone now. Luckily, it's
Let's
not
hope
good
so.
on the
We don't want you being sick again. So
Well, it wasn't me. That was the thing. Like you're on a public event and the guests are being ill.
yeah, that's yeah.
It's not a good one, is it?
No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't bode well. That's for sure. That's
No,
for sure.
especially if we've got a good carpet.
Yes,
That
yes,
because one was actually physically mm,
yeah.
during the video, which was a bit yeah messy. But luckily it wasn't an expensive carpet. So yeah,
Glad to hear it.
yeah. Can't let that ghost hunters in anymore because I made a mess of the carpet. Oops.
Yes. We did have actually many years ago. We did have something similar at Woodchester. Um,
Right.
it was I wouldn't have classed it as an attachment, but there was, and including myself, three members of the team that were there. We were standing outside Woodchester, and it was just in one location. All three of us were ill. Just felt in this one particular area, felt
Wow.
really ill, and we were sick, and we didn't know at the time that each one of us that was where it had happened,
Oh
and
wow.
that we
Okay.
had been ill because we were all too embarrassed to say anything until
Oh
afterwards.
yeah, that's right. It's not so. Oh yeah, I've just put out and yeah, it's
But
just
yeah,
like
we'd all felt ill within a foot of the same place.
very interesting.
So
Yeah.
yeah,
I
it's
know on investigations it were, so it's like, oh, I don't feel very well. So the next, I don't feel very. Oh God,
oh
and
yeah, yeah,
yeah, they all join in, don't they? You've got a
oh yes,
circle of guests, and just one says it, and that's it. All of a sudden they feel the cold draft, or
yeah, yeah. It's
uh,
why we tend not to do public ones anymore.
yeah.
It's you don't necessarily, you can't always trust the people that you've got there. So
No,
um,
no,
I've kind of gone past doing that now. It's something we did a few years ago, about 6-7 years ago. We used to run public ones quite a lot,
yeah,
just for this area in the forest. But now we just tend to go with people that we know and trust.
yeah,
Um,
that's right.
and Corrine, of course,
Anchoring,
and
yeah.
Corrine.
Jumping out of the
But
corner.
it's
Yeah,
yeah, I just find you with the right people.
yeah,
And if you can trust them, then and something happens, that it's not because of malicious intent then.
yeah. I've got small group, private group, and I book
Hmm.
locations and sort of put it out to them, and we've had some incredible times. And
Yeah,
it's
yeah, we
people
have it.
all around the country from Ely to near Liverpool, and they just come along and we sort of get together. The friends who I've met on Facebook, all sort of great investigators, and some of the things we've got, it's
Yeah,
fantastic. And
yeah, and
yeah,
I
I
find
can
that
trust them.
certain people work well in certain locations as well,
Yeah,
which is quite interesting.
yeah. I think with me, it's dungeons and places like that work with me.
Okay.
Whether it's because my past life has thrown down an oubliette.
You need to go to St Rebels. They've got an oubliette there as
Ooh.
well. So
And yeah, I
I
kind
don't
of
think
that.
anyone was ever actually thrown down it. It's a bit of a misnomer. They think it was more
y-
for storage.
Oh right, yeah, and that was the thing about Tutbury. I was in the torture chamber, and that's where people started getting ill. And I think, the spirit sort of, I and I picked up on her straight away, and that was it, really. I think,
Mm.
and I don't know. There's that link, and yeah, it's just fascinating, isn't it?
It
The
is.
National Justice Museum, there's a spirit there who always overshadows me. Generally, if I step foot on the premises, because I worked with him in a past life,
Okay.
and even the medium's picked up on him with me, and she says, "You've got this judge with you." I said, "Yeah, I know."
Hmm.
And then he was removed from me, and I went back to base room, and she says he's gone now. And I said, "Yeah, I know, because somebody had cleared him away from me because it got a bit intense."
Hmm.
But it's great also when you get that validation from somebody else who doesn't know the story and
Yeah.
doesn't
Yeah.
know I've got
Definitely.
links, and that's what I love about the paranormal.
Yeah. If you can get validation on something, and they've had no knowledge, then you pretty much sure, if as long as it's not ambiguous,
Yeah,
that
that's
you're on to a
right.
winner, kind of thing.
Yeah, it's just so fascinating, isn't it?
Mm. Oh God, yeah.
But we still haven't got proof, and we've always got to give the backstory. You get an EVP, you've got to prove that nobody else has done that, and people have got to believe you.
I don't think nowadays my opinion of proof has changed, because we have entered in with what we were saying about how far we'd come
Yeah.
earlier. We now have artificial intelligence,
Mm.
which is, I think, has the potential of causing a lot of problems for the paranormal, because
Oh, it
it is so
already is,
easy to
isn't it?
put things
Yeah.
into pictures and into sound, which leaves basically no trace. Not for,
Mm.
all right, the scientists might be able to prove the, I don't know, the algorithms or whatever they're called. Um, but to me now, I think proof is just becoming a personal experience.
Yeah, that's right.
And
Yeah.
I don't think we ever will have proof
Mm.
as such, because I could, a spirit could walk in here now and wave at you, um
Mm.
but you'd be saying, oh, it's obviously someone, it's somebody living.
Yeah,
I couldn't
that's
prove it
right.
to you.
Yeah, that's it.
um
You've always got it's whether you can believe the storyteller's story,
exactly,
isn't it?
exactly. And I think nowadays it does just come down to personal experiences,
Yeah.
which is my proof. um I think, it's got to the stage now where, when it comes to things going into the public, it's all, you don't know what's real and what isn't.
No, that's
I mean,
right.
much as I cannot abide the bloke, Mr. Trump has coined the phrase fake news, and he's so right. He's a master at it.
Oh,
But
gosh, yeah.
you can't believe what you see on so many things now that,
No, even recent news,
mm,
they've generated storms with AI and said well, no, there's enough real footage out there
yeah, no,
about
this is it.
generating
So
fake AI stuff, and it's mad.
yeah,
It
so
really
if you
is,
look at
and
that at a bigger
unnecessary.
scale, if I could
Yeah,
speak, you've got, I need a drink. You don't stand a chance with getting photos and EVPs now, because we know that they're going to be manipulated.
yeah, that's right. Yeah.
So,
It's like, well, you
funnily
had
enough,
that.
I was watching a program a couple of months ago now, and they were recording EVPs, and they then played it back to the person later on at the end of the program, and I had to rewind it because I thought I was going mad. And actually, what they'd recorded and then what they showed this person that they'd recorded was two different things, because they'd edited
Well,
it and they hadn't edited it correctly. So
yeah.
it just proves you can't believe everything you see and hear.
Mm,
And we are now stuck with that issue.
that's right. But if you're at a location and you're listening to an EVP, like specifically, I was in Skirrid,
All right.
DR60 and other recorders. The DR60 was getting clear results, and you could hear it and you could work
Mhm.
it out. But I filmed that, and the filmed version wasn't as clear as what you could get, what it came out as.
No,
So
no,
you've
and
also
that's the
then got a
sensitivity
different,
of the recording equipment, isn't it?
and then you've got the interpretation then of what you have videoed from that as to what's
Mhm.
being said,
Yeah.
which could be, you could
Now,
totally make up a different sentence.
many years ago, my daughter and I were investigating a theatre, and she opened the door. It was going into the projector room, and she said, "Oh, are we allowed in here?" And I said, "Well, I think the rule of thumb is if the door's unlocked, we're allowed in." So she opened the door, and as she stepped in after opening the door, there was this enormous sigh, as if somebody just went, "Ugh," as if, "Oh God, they found me," kind of thing. Now
Yeah.
we had our recording equipment on, and it came over much quieter.
Mm,
Didn't sound at all like what we'd heard.
yeah.
So it's again, what do we know what they sound like?
That's right. Yeah. We're just going with the best theory we can at the time.
Exactly.
And
Exactly.
then you might find that later on something may change it.
Yeah.
Like even if you read the history and you've got some sort of theory, you read the history and then you've realised that you've just put it together all wrong.
Yeah. Oh yeah, definitely. But I
You
also
know,
think as well, we're trying to record something that doesn't exist
yes,
using equipment that's there to record things that exist. So
I like that.
technically, once
Yeah,
again, the equipment that we're using is not designed for the job that we want it to do.
that's right. Yeah,
Um, so there's, we're that, and that's all we've got. We can only use what we've got, which is why I think quite often it doesn't pick up what you'd expect it to pick up or how you'd expect it to pick up.
that's right. So you saw Andy Guy at the last Parameet, and he's
Yeah.
basically designed this piece of kit, which if it's an extreme change of temperature, quick change of temperature, blue for cold, red for hot.
Uh-huh.
So it will do that. That's not what's happening on investigations. The temperature's not changing. Not that often, anyway.
No.
And I think they've got a way of working with that device, which isn't how it's been made, what it's been made to do. And I'm just trying to get my head around what is actually happening with it. In fact, I can't wait to go back on Saturday to go, there you go then, mate. Why is it doing this? Because I
Well,
did actually
exactly.
interview him. I interviewed him and it was going off behind me. And he's go, well, why is it malfunctioning? Why is it doing it? And I'm just fascinated with this piece of
Mm.
kit because it is going off so much. And it's like the cat balls as well. And I know that is a dodgy issue, isn't it? And
Yeah.
it is there. But if you get them going off, if they don't go off for ages, then they're going off on demand. Then what is causing it? And then when you finish, they stop. Now, if they're faulty, they're doing it all the time.
Not necessarily. They are designed to go off to entice a cat to play. So
Correct.
if they are left alone, untouched, they will go off at some point, and they are designed to go off randomly to actually keep the cat entertained.
But I haven't had that in my house because I put them on the shelf and they could be there not doing it for ages,
Mm.
months, not going off. Then
Are
one
they?
night I find they're going off.
You can switch them on and off, don't you?
Yes.
Oh, that's all right then. I don't know is the answer. I mean,
Yeah.
it's
It's all
when you've
intriguing
got
though, isn't
something
it?
like that you can test, and if you can test it over and over again, then
I,
yeah,
I've I've used
maybe they
I've
are.
used them frequent. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's like
maybe they are.
there's
But
one
this
in
is
my
the
bedroom for
problem.
ages. Then
Yeah,
one night it was just kicking off all night. And it was just like, and then I was sort of talking and it was reacting. And it's like, well, why? It's been there months. Why was it that night it was doing something? And it's things like that, isn't it? And that is the same with any form of equipment.
Exactly. Yeah.
Everything, and you just question it to nth degree. And yeah, that's my current thing, is that little box which does the temperature, and it keeps going off for me. Well, why? And I'm, oh dear, I've got to buy another one now just to make sure, to see how that works.
So this thing, does it flash? Is that the idea?
Yeah. So, oh, I can reach it.
Ooh,
Well, I've got my dog on my knee, but hey,
that's so
sorry, Rocky. I can't get it. Hold on. I think. Just bear with me a second. Oh, gee. The dog's in my way. He's on the
It's okay.
settee next door. Shift your head. I've got my box. So, yeah. Let me get it. Which one is it? Yeah, so it's just a little box here. You switch it on. That's currently purple.
Okay.
You can see it flashing. That's
Yeah.
calibrating. Okay. Calibrated, so now it's green. Yeah, you can see it's green.
Yeah, I can now. Yeah.
Okay, so if there's a change in temperature, it will go blue if it's drop, or red if it goes up. And we're talking a quick change in temperature. Now, this thing, it keeps going off with me. Oh, red. Okay. Quick change. It's not suddenly got hot. Radiator's not on. So why has the temperature gone up? And it's gone off.
Maybe it's got a short wire.
And I've asked him.
Wire shorting.
I asked him about it. Because I was actually interviewing him and said, well, why has that done that then? Could something cause this?
Mm.
And then, I don't know, and it does, and it goes off a lot around me. And the one with him, it wasn't going off. So, I don't know.
So the thing you've got to do then is, when it's going off, is it ask it questions.
Oh, I do, yeah.
And get it to count and things like that to see if it will match what you're asking.
Oh, yeah, I do.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've had it. I'm quite intrigued by it, but yeah. So
yeah, I mean, this is
I'm working on it. I'm working with it. And
exactly. Don't know. Say it could have a short wire. It could be moisture that's got into it. There could be a lot of basic
that's right.
issues. But then again, maybe you've got a spirit that understands it's working and is able to manipulate it.
Yeah, but it's not actually using it how it should either, because there wasn't a check.
But the equipment that we use today, if you think about the standard equipment, none of that is actually designed for ghost hunting.
Yeah, that's right.
Your thermometer is designed to take the temperature inside an oven without getting burnt.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Infrared equipment was used by the military. We've adopted it from the military because it's become more affordable. K2 meters, they're for plumbing, aren't they, or
electrician?
So we're just doing the same thing. We're just adapting it for our needs, and taking it from there. So if they can adapt it, why not?
So actually, the initial red might have been because it came out of the box and it's actually warmer in the house than in the box.
Exactly. Yeah.
That could be the reason for that, because it's not gone off again.
No.
But we'll go with that one. Yeah, that one will work. But yeah, it's just interesting, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. You see, that's the thing. Like, I'd rather give something a reason, and for years I did. Even if things were happening, I'd just find an excuse or a reason. So I never actually admitted to myself that something couldn't be explained. I always found something.
Yeah, but I do think that, sometimes just accept it that it happens. Not maybe necessarily with equipment, but sometimes you can't explain things.
Yeah, there we go again. It's done it again. Yeah. And it's like, well, why? And if the heater radiator was on, but not yet.
Not yet, no.
So I don't know. And is it working because of my energy? Is it my dad? I know my dad. I'm pretty 100% sure that my dad liked cat balls at some stage. He's passed, and I'll go, "Is that you?" And as soon as I'd go, "Is that you?" before I even said "Dad," it went off. So I always knew when he was around because the kit actually interacted before I'd finished the question.
Okay.
And it was consistent. It wasn't just a one-off. So it's just
Have
all
you recorded
fascinating,
it?
isn't it? He's moved on. I think he's moved to that.
No, when you get things like that, record it, because
Yeah.
you can then. The other thing, of course, is that we're very good as human beings as filling in gaps,
Oh, yeah,
and
that's right.
we look at, we do something, and we then talk about it, and even slightly we can embellish something
Oh,
so that
gosh, yeah.
how we remembered something is slightly different to what actually happened. So if you record it when it's doing it and you're getting that interaction, then see what happens again and then compare.
Yeah. Oh, actually, that is what I have got plans for something. It's an idea I've come up with, and I'm going to try a number of live feeds.
Okay.
Be specific
Mm-hmm.
and try it time and time again and see what happens.
Yeah.
So I've got an idea and I've got a plan to sort of put that in place, just to see how things change over a period of time.
Mm-hmm.
Just I'm intrigued by it. Yeah. Also, when I did mention that, it's now gone a bit more ape. Thank you. Can you go away, please? Move away from it. Okay, whatever. And it sort of does get a bit distracting, doesn't it, as well? Thank you. And I had some. They're like, it's a string of 10 tubes, central battery pack, but they act like cat balls. So
Okay.
you've got a plastic tube with something like a cat ball in it, and 10 of them. Central point of battery at the end, feeding all of them, but they would go off. If one went off, the others wouldn't go off. And the most they ever got off going at one time was 3, but in separate places. And it wasn't always the same ones going off. And I was in Derby
Okay.
jail, and they had them on the floor.
All right. Yeah.
And one was going off. And I sort of said, "Is that you?" And it went off. And then I sort of carried on talking to it. And then I said, and Nando was there, and Nando was watching earlier. He says, I said, "Is that you, Dad?" And he said, "Oh, whose dad is it?" You know the jail because I'd helped out there. And I said, "Oh, it's my dad." Then I asked my dad to step away, and it didn't go off again.
Okay.
And I have got footage of that.
Yeah.
So that
That's good. Yeah.
that
If
was
you know.
and it kind of you don't actually know who you're talking to, do you? But it is
No, this is
fascinating.
the thing. You don't.
Yeah.
But one
And
thing
that,
I have learned
why is
over.
it doing it?
Mm,
And I need to take it to him because it keeps doing it around me.
yeah, I have noticed one thing though.
What?
It goes off when you're speaking because you use your arms a lot.
It's my energy. It's my
Mm,
energy because
it maybe. Yeah.
it's when I get excited
Yeah.
and I
So that
think it's
could
my
be
energy
causing a
causing it.
change, a very slight change in the temperature around that area. So, but I
Ah.
definitely get it
But
sorted.
even when it's further away from me, it does it as
Yeah.
well. So it's not just about me doing that because it's freezing in here. It's 17 degrees.
Oh right. Okay.
No draft or anything. So me doing that's not going to. In fact, it might make it cold because.
I'd get it checked either way because yeah, just for your own
Oh,
peace
that
of
did it.
mind.
No, that did that then. Yeah. So I was
Yeah.
waving at it. So yeah, might have. Let's see then. Yeah. But yeah, no, I'm going to get it checked out.
Yeah.
But it's a device which doesn't work on EMF, which is different.
Okay. Yeah.
because obviously with the phone signals and the internet and Wi-Fi and everything, you do have that problem, don't you?
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. And I certainly do here. Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. And yeah, but I want to thank you anyway. It's been an interesting chat.
It has been quite varied, hasn't it, really?
Yeah, really
Yeah.
varied. Yeah, never know
Yeah,
where
it's
the
been lovely.
conversation's going to go. So if people want your book, it's called.
The Lock House Haunting, and it's on Amazon.
Come on, I've not waved.
You've not waved?
I didn't wave.
Oh, I see.
Yeah,
Yep,
and it's on
that's it.
Amazon.
It's on Amazon, yep. And you can find me on social media, Facebook, Instagram. I might even be on TikTok, but not very often. It's not my
Oh
thing at
yeah,
all.
I got my
Mm.
views so it could go live, but I've never really bothered with it.
Yeah, no,
So yeah,
it's not an area that I try and delve into, because there just seems to be so much stuff on there. So
yeah. So I've got my weird thing going off, not waving my arms.
yep,
So
so you have, yes.
I don't know what's going on. So yeah,
Yep,
it's like when going to an investigation, it starts doing it too much. It's like, okay, switch it off. But
yes.
then if there is something they're trying to communicate, it's like, oh God, you're really rude, aren't you? Then you can't win. But
No, no, you can't win. That's true. But yeah, get it sorted. Let me know what happens. I'd be
yeah, that's
interested.
right. Because yeah, I did mention it at the last Parameet about it, and yeah, I will go and see him, and yeah, and I
Yeah,
will
let
buy
me know.
another one as well to see how that interacts as
That's a
well.
good idea. Yeah, buy another one and then see
Yeah,
if
if that's
if they're
going.
both going off together at the same time. It'll also be
Yeah,
interesting.
yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
But that's the thing when you get something, it's like it's like forever questioning things, isn't it? And it's not it's not voice activated either, so
No.
it doesn't work like that. But yeah, so thanks everyone for watching.
Yeah. Thank you.
I hope you all have a lovely week. I'm going to go to the Parameet. So if anyone's going up there at Pontefract, say hello. Kingscroft Hotel. It's on Saturday, Sunday, £20. £12 per day, £20 for the whole weekend. So come along, say hello, and some great speakers there as
Good
well.
value. Good value.
And it is. It's ridiculous value,
Yep.
isn't it? Really. Yeah, because
It is extremely good value, and
yeah,
you meet such a lovely group of people. So
yeah.
yeah, enjoy. I'm sorry I won't be there.
I know. I wish you were there. I was good when sort of
I
Karen
know.
said you all weren't coming, but yeah, it's a distance for you. Like when we
It
went to
is
the
a
south
distance,
one,
yes.
it was away for
Yeah,
us, but
exactly.
yeah.
Yeah.
So
But
yeah, I'll
yep, we
see
will
you all
catch
there
up
who's
soon.
going. And great to speak to you. Thank you. And
Yeah,
thanks
lovely to see
everyone
you,
for
Jacqueline. You
watching.
take care
Thank
and good
you
luck
then.
with the job.
Bye.
All right.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you.
Bye.
Bye.